into our topic here in just a bit, while we kind of continue to wait for those to filter in, as I see some coming in now. So yeah, like I said, just wanted to welcome everyone. It looks like we've got some folks in, so I'll kind of kick things off and get us started. Like I said, welcome everyone to the Phishing Net, presented by Phin Security. So this is our partner-facing webinar that we have every other Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. So feel free to check us out. Register on our knowledge base that we have. We have registration links for this webinar, another bi-weekly webinar that I'll talk about here in a second. So we're happy to have you. We're going to talk about all things Phin today. But first, wanted to kind of go through the normal housekeeping. My name is Andrew. I'm from the Phin team and the partner experience team. So happy to kind of be with you today and share that. Today's talking point, we're actually not going to dive into the Phin portal today. It's actually going to live outside of that. And so I'm going to go ahead and present this. Actually, let me go back here. Yeah, let me do that. Awesome. And so today's topic is all about SAT is not optional, it's a must. That's kind of the title of today's session. And what we mean by that is we have lots of resources for you to be able to use to kind of preach that to your end users and your customers of the importance of security awareness training. So we have this brand new PowerPoint, actually just finalized earlier today on August 20th. And so it was a really great effort by our team. We had a presentation on our knowledge base previously. This is kind of a revamped version, lots more information in this one, really nice visuals. So you, as our Phin partner, using Phin, wanting to either get your end users motivated, your customers motivated to dive into security awareness training more, understand the threats out there, this is a great way to do that. It's also a great resource to be able to sell security awareness training to your customers as well. So this is live in our knowledge base and can be adapted to be whatever you want it to be, however you wanted to do it. You have this as a resource to you, and I'll just kind of quickly go over this and then follow that up by going over some of the partner resources that we do have as well in our knowledge base. And so, this is just one piece of the resources that we have. So, as you can see, we have an ocean theme for this presentation. And so, kind of talks about the agenda here. And as we go through this, I'll kind of touch on different points. Happy to dive into any slide a little bit deeper. But this is really kind of an adaptation of our previous presentation as well. So if you're familiar with that one, you might see some similarities here as well. So I'll just kind of quickly dive into each slide. And so, starting off, just defining cybersecurity, safeguarding networks, devices, and data from unauthorized access. And so, that's something that, established kind of what this buzzword means. And I think that to end users that don't, circle around cybersecurity on a regular basis, don't read up on it like we do in the tech space, it's something that can get lost. And so just having that definition is kind of the first step in that. And then so kind of applying it to why it's important, and really just establishing the increasing amount of sophistication around cyber attacks. The fact that they are so much more complex than they used to be when it was a prince needing your help, right? And now it's a lot more complicated than that. And then also just the amount of data stored in an online environment and a cloud environment. And so, just all the inherent risks that are out there from that really creates, a lot of opportunity for the hackers and the bad guys to expose your data. So huge talking point there. And so, in addition to that, the amount of, increasing connectivity to public Wi-Fi, that's kind of something that was in our previous presentation. It's in here as well. So like I said, a lot of this new presentation is just an adaptation of the old one. And so, feel free to adapt any slides that you want to if you're presenting this to your customers, your end users, et cetera. So Lots of similarities there. We have lots more engagement with our audience. We're able to engage with them in terms of applying it to everyday situations, everyday scenarios of asking these questions. If you so choose, they can just read them, right? And how those apply to what the bad guys out there are trying to do. So really great resource that you can use for your end users, for your customers, especially if you're doing it in a live setting. So that's an option as well. This is kind of the consequence of that slide, and I think most people would answer yes to most of these questions here, right? And so, that leads to an inherent risk that I think people and organizations have to be aware of, right? And so, same kind of thing here. I think most people have gotten something where they've asked one of these questions, whether that's an email, text, etc. And so the goal of SAT, Security Awareness Training, is to help you answer that question confidently, where you understand this is safe or this is not safe. And so, that's really the whole goal of SAT, is to help the user answer that question, and whoever's really the subject of SAT, help you answer that confidently. Raises cyber IQ, help keeps your data safe, and it might be relevant to them for compliance reasons, cyber insurance requirements, things like that. So always important to keep those things top of mind as well. We have, I think, the same statistics from the previous presentation, just adapted here as well. And then we also have this idea of these are some outdated mindsets, right, that we have. And so lots of practices that can fall to human error, lots of ways where we're just pushing it to the IT team, when really in the modern world, because of all those inherent risks, every employee needs to be cyber aware. Every employee needs to know what the bad guys are trying to do. Obviously, SAT helps with that. And it is really the goal for a lot of users that are out there. So lots of similarities there. This is the same. This is unchanged. This is an example you can use with your customers to show them exactly, hey, this is the reality of what it used to look like. Obviously, this is still happening in today's world. You get an email, a text message of something like this, providing you that emotional urgency, right? And having this person, Arthur, be very vulnerable. It makes you feel that emotion, right, for them, and they want you to think before or act before you think, I should say. So that's still there. We still have the same quiz that you can have your whoever you're presenting this to scan it. It'll pull up an exercise deciding what templates are legitimate or not. And then we also have expanded our common types of phishing attacks. So previously it was just 4. We have 6 now, and kind of just going through each one of those. And I won't spend too much time here, but I think it's really important to have the users know what they're up against, right? Have the users know to look for email phishing. I mean, it's the most common type of attack, but it can always be relevant. They're very common, as you can see from those stats there. So always kind of lead with that, right? Spear phishing, a type of email phishing, more targeted. Obviously, statistics there. QR code phishing that you can see, and so we kind of expand upon that from the previous presentation, how that works. We have examples that we share, when we do this webinar for end users, which is next week, so every other week. As I mentioned, I kind of go through those. Angler phishing, so this is essentially the newest type that we've kind of coined here, and so it targets social media users. And the person who is the bad guy, they're impersonating some sort of company or some sort of like support from some company online, and trying to act as that customer service rep from this trusted company to get that information from the user, whether that's payment information, that's personal details, something related to PII, something like that. So smishing, again, we kind of had this in the previous one. We have more statistics here, a little bit more detailed of an explanation. So, feel free to check that out. And then whaling. And so this is where this kind of involves the example of like when you start a new company, the CEO, well, I say CEO, the quote unquote CEO will text you asking you to buy them some gift cards, right? That's an example of whaling. Here, again, kind of in a similar vein to a lot of those other ones, spear phishing as well. But this is a more specific example of that. And then I think it's important, as we did in the previous presentation, just going over what security awareness training used to look like, and this evolution that we've seen from a long day of security awareness training, something that was not engaging, not very interactive, not fun, just policies or posters posted throughout an office environment, an email maybe, just like of non-interactive ways to go about security awareness training. And so seeing that evolution change into really the opposite of what it was to what it is now. It's a lot shorter and spread out in maybe a once a month, once a quarter time frame, a lot more digestible, easy to follow, interact with. It's engaging, right? And it gets the point across, and then you can move on with the rest of your day. And sometimes it's even fun, right? And so that's really the goal of security awareness training, is to not make it such a monotonous experience, and just have it be something that you do on a regular basis that's a lot more effective, gets the point across a lot better. So and then from this point forward, I'll just kind of breeze through this last portion. Not a lot has changed here. And so we've included our templates that we have here, some of our example templates from our security awareness training side of things, our phishing side of things. We have realistic templates, ones that have familiar brands, some that are targeted. If they use Slack, they might get something around Slack. A phishing example of when they click on a phishing email, this is what it looks like, takes them to a learning moment, of course. And so I'm sure many of our partners are probably already very familiar with this. And it kind of shows them what to look for so that they can avoid clicking that email going forward. Then kind of highlighting training, same idea here that we've had in the past. One training assignment that is sent via email, they don't have to create an account, another login. They simply access their training dashboard from that reminder email. They can view everything that's assigned to them, everything that they've completed, or just all of it. 90% of training is 5 minutes or less, followed by a few questions. So very nice and easy there, as I mentioned earlier. Just get right to the point and move on, right? And then we're constantly curating content from different providers. We're actually up to, I think it's 6 content providers now as we keep going. And so constantly changing and evolving the learning style, animated, lecture, whiteboard style, and many others. So lots of different ways to keep it engaging, keep it interesting and fun, right? And then reporting, and I'll just kind of breeze through these. Nothing really has changed here. The executive summary style report card. So we kind of highlight that in this presentation for decision makers, if there are decision makers that are involved. Really great way to kind of track who's clicking on what, who's taking training, who's not, and kind of highlight those users going forward. And so, and then same kind of idea. You could really have, in this scenario, right, it's like the strongest ship. But if someone leaves the hatch door open, water can flood in. It's the same with security awareness training. All it takes is one phishing email to get through and be clicked where your data is compromised and your organization's data is compromised. So fun little scenario there. So that's really it for the presentation. So that's brand new as of today. We just added that to our knowledge base. So feel free, if you wanted to go check that out, to do so. Our knowledge base is public. So if you just navigate down here to partner resources, and I'll go ahead and link this here in the chat as well. But basically all you would do is come here and you can see some of the resources that we do have available in terms of resources for your customers, for whoever you're preparing this security awareness training program for, right? So we have enablement documents, kind of like marketing material. These have actually just been updated recently as well. So they kind of do the same thing, establish, hey, here's why security awareness training is important. And here's how easy it is with Phin. Here's what the experience is like that you can see here. So everything has a with Phin section that you can see, just kind of, 1 or 2 page documents that really do a good job at kind of establishing those things that I mentioned, why SAT is important. We also have documentation on what the end user experience will look like, a demo video, a document, a 1-page document of, hey, here's what the experience will look like, kind of like I mentioned in that presentation. So a nice, easy way if you're trying to sell to your customers, get your end users more motivated. Here's what it could look like, a nice little supplemental document that you can use there. This is the presentation that you can see here, and go ahead and click that and you can download it. We have e-guides as well that you can go through. And then here's where we can actually register for webinars. So not only this webinar, but our customer-facing webinar for end users that we have every other Tuesday. So we have this this webinar on a bi-weekly basis for our Phin partners. We also, on the weeks that we're not doing this one, we're doing one for end users specifically around same things. It's just the presentation that I went through. Here's why SIT is important, and here's what the experience is like with Phin. So it's really just me going through this presentation on a bi-weekly basis. And so feel free to send your end users there if you'd like that education for them. I'm happy to go through that and answer any of their questions. So that is really it. I wanted to highlight some of the new resources that we had, like I mentioned. So we've had these resources available to our partners for quite a while now, I think over a year at this point. And so we updated what was previously our marketing material last week to be our enablement doc. So this is brand new, a lot cleaner, lots more information there. And then also the big one that I just went through, of course, is the presentation. So feel free to check those out. They're brand new. All these resources are public, so feel free to share them if you want to. And go through them. And again, that's really all I have prepared, as we do in all of these sessions. Happy to open it up for questions from the audience. If you do have questions, feel free to ask away if you want. While that's happening, like I said, happy to go over this in more detail with any of our partners. If you want to meet, if you want us to present something, we're happy to do that as well. And again, that webinar is literally just us presenting that slide that I mentioned. So yeah, and as we evolve, as we grow, we'll have more resources just in general, not only in that Phin partner resources area, but also just throughout our knowledge base. So feel free to check those out, check our release notes, and keep an eye on your email for new features that we release. Awesome. I don't see anything in the chat, so I will assume that for now there are no questions. Again, happy to go over anything at any time. With you guys, with our partner base. We love you guys, and we hope you'll reach out to us and chat with us and ask us questions. That's what we're here for. So feel free. Again, my name is Andrew. Feel free to reach out to me on our partner experience team. Also, feel free to reach out to our support team via our submit a ticket section in the top right of our knowledge base here. And so that will get you to our support team. They're great at troubleshooting issues, technical questions, things like that. So feel free to get in contact with us either way. All right. Thank you, everyone, so much for joining today's session. Like I mentioned, this is a Phin partner webinar that's every other week. Next week, we'll be diving into that presentation, diving into the end user side of thing, where we're going over that presentation. And so I appreciate everyone's time, and